I reflected with a friend of mine the other day on a similar question, and I was telling him about my dad. My dad passed away in December a year ago. He was my lighthouse. He was my anchor, my rock. And he told me a story one time about retiring early. And I asked him why did he retire early? And he said, well, I could have taken a promotion, but he said, I knew at this point in my career, if I took that promotion, and this is the way he said it, Steve, I would have had to sell my soul to the company. And he said, I just wasn't willing to do it. And it's not what's most important. And my dad taught me that what was most important was not climbing the ladder, but was having an impact and some influence in people's lives. And I just always wanted to have an impact on people's lives. My dad taught me that, and that was important to him, and it's been important to me.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text optimize to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stevr1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Fired up to have you join me today because, a servant heart comes from leaders. And guess what? You all can be leaders. I didn't start as a leader, and all of a sudden, podcasting and other things, I become a leader. And it is a lot of fun, to be honest. But before we do that, because we're going to talk about leadership, we also need to be grateful. So I'm going to give you I have these grateful cards that I start my shows with, start in 2026. Never doubt yourself. You are one of the best. Don't look at it as Elon Musk has got $1 trillion. I've got 500,000 or 100. That's not what it's saying. You are the best. Steve Ramona, Wayne Wilson, Joe Smith. You want to be. Just be your best.
Yeah.
That was a great one to start with. Let's bring our guest on. Wayne, welcome to the show. Wasn't that great?
Well, thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be here. What a great introduction to the show. Yeah.
Leadership. Why are you so? I could tell before the show you're so passionate about it. What brings that passion,
Steve? I don't know. I reflected with a friend of mine the other day on a similar question, and I was telling him about my dad. My dad passed away in December a year ago. He was my lighthouse. He was my anchor, my rock, and he told me a story one time about retiring early, and I asked him why did he retire early, and he said, well, I could have taken a promotion, but he said, I knew at this point in my career, if I took that promotion, and this is the way he said it, Steve, I would have had to sell my soul to the company. And he said, I just wasn't willing to do it, and it's not what's most important. And my dad taught me that what was most important was not climbing the ladder, but was having an impact and some influence in people's lives. And I just always wanted to have an impact on people's lives. My dad taught me that, and that was important to him, and it's been important to me. And John Maxwell said it best 25 years ago: leadership is influence. And so it's all about the influence and impact that we have on other people's lives. And that's what leadership's really all about. I mean, there's lots of other things that come with it, but you manage things and you lead people, right?
Yeah. Human
And so,
development. Go.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Finish. I
Oh,
just.
it's so that's my gig. If I were to name my expertise, that's why I tell people I've been in the personal and professional development business for 35 years, right? It's all about personal development.
In human development. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw that in your bio. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what a great, because that's what you're doing. You're
That's
developing
what I do.
humans. How do you do
Absolutely.
that?
It's about growth, it's about knowing what the next best version of Steve Romano is and being clear about that and chasing it. It's work, human development is worth. I can't change you, Steve. You can't change me. We can only change ourselves. And leaders are a guide to that, coaches are a guide to that, mentors are a guide to that, counselors are a guide to that, pastors are a guide to that. There's lots of ways to help with that, but human development is all about how you want to grow, what the next best version of you is.
My business partner says converting people. We're
Converting
not here to
people.
converting people. We're not, that's, if it's not a fit. And that's a lot what you're saying. Audience, take that for heart. If
Mhm.
it's not a fit, if it's a circle going to a square hole, it won't fit. It will
Won't
never
fit.
fit.
Won't
And
fit.
that's okay as a servant's heart, right?
Absolutely.
To say no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 100% okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So that leads to trust. How's that coming into play here?
Trust is it, Steve. In the world of human growth and development, uh, leadership is it's not virtually impossible. It is impossible without trust. One of my favorite books was written by Stephen M.R. Covey. I got to know Stephen M.R. Covey. The last company that I was the director of professional development for, designed all of the training for Snyder Fleet Solutions, large company. I was the chief learning officer, if you will, for that company, and I partnered with Franklin Covey, and I got to know Stephen M.R. and he wrote an amazing book called Trust and Inspire. Have you seen it? Have you heard it?
No, very good.
Trust and Inspire. It's the description of what was for the longest time known as command and control leadership, and the difference between that and what he is now calling trust and inspire leadership. It's a compare and contrast of command and control versus trust and inspire. And
Powerful.
you can't really lead with a servant's heart if the foundation of that is not trust. You just really can't do it. It's trust is at the heart of leading people in a genuine, authentic, serving manner. Otherwise, you're just pulling them, you're dragging.
Yeah. Trust is so what's the word I want to use? Volatile. Because I just was mentoring a
Oh,
guy last year.
okay.
Here's what happened. He's a great guy, great entrepreneur, but he
Yep.
lost trust in some people. He did it wrong. We're
Oh, yeah.
fallible. And what's
Okay.
my name of volatile? We're human. We're
Sure.
going to make mistakes. What
Absolutely.
would you tell him and tell the audience? And I'd love to learn too. How do I build that trust back as a leader?
So when I was doing therapy, I was a marriage and family therapist. I was a professor at Liberty University in counseling and family studies, and I did a lot of couples therapy. And I mentored, trained with a woman named Sue Johnson, who founded a method of couples therapy called emotionally focused couples therapy. And her famous saying, the thing she said all the time is, it's not if you're going to have a rupture of trust in your relationship. It's when. And the two things that matter the most are how quickly and how effectively you're going to recover from that breach of trust. It's going to happen, Steve. it's gonna if you're in an authentic, genuine relationship, which means that you're not keeping yourself distant and you're not staying numb and you really don't really have anything emotionally invested in it, then you're not gonna get hurt. Then you're not gonna have a breach of trust. But if you're really genuinely in a relationship of any kind, business, personal, whatever, you're gonna have a breach of trust. It's gonna happen. So one, it's going to happen. You know, Brene Brown says, if you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. And what becomes the most important thing is how you repair that. And that's a process. It's not an event. It's you can't sit down on Tuesday night and do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's going to occur over time, and it requires, if you're the person who has violated someone else's trust, whether you meant to or not, man, it's going to require an awful lot of just vulnerability from you, just a lot of openness from you. If you're intent on being right and defending yourself, you're not going to repair it.
Yeah.
I used to tell spouses in couples therapy all the time. If you were in couples therapy, Steve, I would say to you, Steve, you can be right or you can repair your marriage. Which would you rather be?
Great question. That's a great question. And that falls into business too.
Right?
Your business partner, your prospect, your client, customer, whatever it may be, same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're not perfect. So we make mistakes and sometimes we do things we didn't mean it to be a mistake. We didn't intend it to be a mistake, but it violated trust in some way. And we gotta be willing to own up to that and say, wow, that was not my intent, but that did not go well. Can we talk about that? Right? Yeah.
The risk reward there too, Wayne, I love what you're saying is being vulnerable. And if the person still says, I'm not trusting you, you gave it your effort, and then you move on and find, you're going to find somebody else. But at least you did the right thing
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
try to, and nothing wrong with them either. It just
Yeah.
was too irreparable, right?
Yeah. So I've watched a ton of videos. A part of why I trusted the Franklin Covey organization with Snyder Fleet Solutions is in their leadership development because I followed Stephen Covey's work. Stephen M.R. Covey's dad, he's passed away now, but Stephen Covey, wrote The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. He was famous. I trained under him many, many, many years ago as a master teacher of the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And I've heard Stephen Covey say many, many times in building relationships, business and or personal, that relationship has to start from a win-win or it's no deal. And he was very serious about if we can't establish a mutually beneficial approach to this relationship, it's okay. It's okay, but it's a no deal, right? You know what I'm saying? It,
Oh
it's
yeah.
a no, it's a no deal. It just didn't work out, and so we have to move on from that. And it's okay, but we're not going to be able to continue this.
What a great gauge, though. What you just said was great. Audience, think about this. You're working with a professional or personal. If it's not a win-win, okay, shake hands and walk away, hug,
Yeah,
whatever you do, because it wasn't a win. It's not a bad thing, but
yeah,
what a great temperature gauge to see if we could really work together. I've done millions of dollars of partnerships, and it was all about that win-win. If it's not a win-win, we walk away. We're
yeah,
still friends today. What a great way to do business.
yeah. You're not going to be able to serve another person if you can't find a win-win.
Yeah. Well, this leads to, and I know we want to talk about Pivot, your book. Pivot, what's the name of your book? Pivot Services, right?
Pivot Services, Pivot Coaching and Consulting, the services are coaching and consulting,
Yeah.
is both a point in people's lives. I come into people's lives as a leadership coach, as a life and leadership coach at a pivot point, at a point of transition. All of my clients are at a point of transition. Something got changed, Steve, right? They're at that point. Something's got to change. And Pivot Services, my coaching business, occurred at my pivot from being a mental health professional to being a coach. That was a very distinct pivot point in my life. And this business, Pivot Coaching and Consulting, came out of that pivot. But it's also my distinct process. Over the years, I've fine-tuned the way I'm coaching, and Pivot is also a process. Pivot, P, pause in the present to perceive what the real problem is and what you really want. I internalize. What does that feel like for you? What is that like? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Is what inspires you? What does not inspire you? Now you've got a clear picture of the present. Now create a vision of the future. Present state, future state. Now we create a vision of the future, compelling vision of what the best tomorrow that you can imagine might look like. And here's the key, and why. Then operationalize that, create a plan, put a timetable to it, and track it. That's coaching. So pivot is also a process, and I describe that in the pivot process. 5 moves from pressure to purpose is the book, Steve.
Powerful, very powerful. Because when did COVID teach us?
Lots.
But you're just, and the big thing is that I know business owners locally, restaurant owners, gone.
Oh, wow.
And others that did the outdoor, did the to-goes, did the different things. Maybe not some so above board, but that's okay. We're not talking, but at least they did the pivot.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. Pivoting is one of the most important, isn't it?
It can't, the image comes from basketball, and there's no more important skill in being able to play basketball than to pivot. I mean, you think about it. You're going down the court, you're headed in one direction, you're looking around, things don't look right. What do? You plant your foot and you pause. Right? You look around, you take a quick scan of the floor, figure out what needs to happen next, and go. Right? But there's that point at which everything stops and you just plant yourself, and something's got to change. And man, that's in the world of an entrepreneur, that's gonna happen periodically,
all the time. And
all
how
the
often?
time.
Me and you can't tell them. It's just depends the industry, what you do, how you are,
The
all
market,
that.
the flows, the economy, the culture, the everything.
Politics, and we go on. But pivot, and I love pivot because that basketball center is doing pivot just quickly in a
Very
matter
quickly.
of seconds.
Very quickly. Yes.
It doesn't matter. It's it's that is a powerful image. Audience, if you don't know basketball, it's the tallest guy in the Shaquille O'Neal. That's a center. If you don't know basketball, everybody knows Shaquille. I love this. This is so cool because what I'm hearing too, pivot, follow that, great leadership, the culture in your business or your life is just going to be raised to a new level, right?
Yeah, well, it's the antidote to being rigid. And when we're rigid, we're not able to make adjustments, right? Because we got to be right, and we can't look bad, or we don't want to admit that we were that something's changed, or it's not working the way I thought it was going to work, and so we get protective over that. The ego kicks in, and we protect ourselves from looking bad, and can't make adjustments in that environment, right? So you're no longer serving. It's all about me now, right?
Yeah, I read a story. This is so good. Timing's perfect.
Nice.
The guy was talking about businesses and employees, and he went to the employee and said, "Hey, we want to change to do something." And you've heard this probably many times is, "Oh, no, we can't change it. We've been doing this for a long time and it works."
Yeah.
That's old school now to me because I'm 64. I used to hear that a lot.
Yep.
Oh, it works. We're making, that's not true, is it?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. The world's changing so fast. That's just not going to fly. It's not going to work. Yeah. Absolutely.
Even how's an older company do that? I'm 20, 30 years in. We've sold this widget this way. What do you look at if you were talking to a company like that to help them pivot.
Yeah. So let's take that for example. So, um, Snyder Fleet Solutions was
Yep.
40 some years old when the owner who founded it with his dad, the Snyders, sold it to one of their up and coming executives. And so Marty Herndon, who's now the president of Snyder Fleet Solutions, purchased it and took the reins after the founder who had been successful. You know how hard this is, right? The founder who had been incredibly successful in the business and had a very specific way of doing things. And I was hired as the executive coach right at that transition. You with me?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
2 weeks. I'm there 2 weeks and they double in size. They make a purchase. They purchase commercial tire centers from Michelin and they double in size. They go from 20 locations to 40 overnight. And I get in a conversation with the C-suite, and they're asking this question: well, how do we get ourselves focused on the future, and how do we make this change in a way that's going to be most successful? And I went back to a phrase that my mentor in graduate school, I went to the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary for both my master's and my doctorate. And my mentor was a guy by the name of Dr. Wayne Oates, wrote lots of books out there. Dr. Wayne Oates looked at me one time and he said, Wayne, who you are is far more important than what you do. The impact of your leadership as either a counselor, a pastor, or whatever it is that you do is going to be centered around who you are first. And then what you do grows out of that. If we get that backward, it's not authentic, it's not real, and people don't trust you and they don't believe it. So, this is a long story to say what we did for the first 18 months of that transition was identify the top 3 leaders of that company's core values. And we collated them into a values statement. And it was really powerful because it led the entire culture of that company and its amazing growth in that company to almost $500 million company and 1,200 employees in 11 states and almost doubled again in size because they identified the leaderships, what's most important to the leaders. And guess what? The top core value of what was most important to the executive leadership was service, because they're a service business.
Powerful.
Service, integrity. This is why we would do it. We are here to serve with integrity, pursuing excellence in the pursuit of growth so that we can enrich the lives of all those that we empower. Those are the core values of the company. And that's how we remembered it, as we would say that little phrase. Does that make sense? And they put that first.
Yes.
It was the guiding light, and that's what we chased. And the money came as we chased that vision. And so the leadership of a big business had to identify, hey, what's most important? To serve with integrity, pursue excellence, enrich the lives of others. We do that, we'll grow.
Yeah. Wayne just put a question out there, audience. I want you to think about this. What are your core values? I know every struggling company I've worked with, and I know you've worked with, that was probably 90% of their problem, not knowing their core values.
Well, they have to be real core values. They can't be a poster on the
Real.
wall that you're trying to
Yeah.
motivate your employees with. They have to truly matter. It took us 18 months to get to those because we had to do some soul searching for the top 3 executives and find out what they really truly valued the most. Because if they didn't live it, if it wasn't important to them, if they had to look up on the wall to remember it, it's not gonna happen.
Done. It's done. So you're
It's not
telling me
gonna happen.
no more Taco Tuesdays or Beer Bash Fridays.
It's
I'm
just
kidding on you. You could do those, but that's not your core value. That's, a reward, but you got to do different things than that. Somebody had put that out there. Oh, these beer bash Fridays, are they really building businesses? No,
Yeah.
they're adding to it, but they're not building it.
Yeah.
What you just said, the core value, and living it as you walk in the door, you leave when you exit, but you live it outside the business too.
You live it
That's the thing.
everywhere. You
Yeah,
live it
it's
everywhere,
24/7.
right?
Beautiful.
You live it everywhere. Yeah.
Well, this has been, I got one more question for you. I want to learn
Go.
more about you. So, your favorite restaurant, I'm going to reserve a table. Me and you're going to go sit down and eat. I want you to invite 3 people who've been influential in your life. You've mentioned few already that may want to invite, but whether dead or alive, I want you to invite them to dinner. But more importantly, what is Steve going to eat for dinner with you?
Yeah. Dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Dead or alive? Does
Um, I I want to go to dinner with Jesus. I want to go to dinner with Stephen Covey. And I want to have a meal with Nelson Mandela.
Oh, what a table!
Jesus, Stephen Covey, and Nelson Mandela.
Wow, what are we eating?
Whatever they want. That's whatever they want.
Just throw the menu down there.
The food is secondary. Yeah, we're
It is.
probably having Italian. We're eating in an Italian restaurant.
There we go, man. That table, I would buy the dinner. I don't care. That's a table I would definitely. Holy moly! Talk about transformation. But we won't go too
Right?
deep into that. Again, Wayne, this, I just met you today, but you've inspired me. I know you inspired the audience.
Thank
How
you.
can they connect with you and learn more about you?
People call me Coach Dr. Wayne. They call me Dr. Wayne. So my landing page is you can book just a conversation. The way that I engage clients is, hey, if we can have a meaningful conversation and I can help you find a future direction, something that's important to you, then let's talk about working together. If I can't, there's probably not a reason to do that. So I just invite people to a conversation, and the way they can do that is go to coachdrwayne.com. No period after doctor, just coach Dr. Wayne, coachdrwayne.com. It's my landing page, and you can book just a conversation. We call them discovery call, but it's just, hey, how can I be helpful to you? And we have a complimentary conversation, and if we can find a meaningful direction forward, then I'd love to have a conversation. It all starts with a conversation. Or they can go to Amazon.com if they want to hear a little bit more about how does the pivot process work. They can go to Amazon.com and get a version of the pivot process, 5 moves from pressure to purpose, and start there if they want.
We'll have all the links in the audience. Well, all the links in the show description for YouTube and the podcast. And Wayne, thanks again for taking the time and
Thank you
doing the
for having
motivation.
me. I appreciate the impact you're having in teaching and promoting and encouraging people to lead as service. I love the human SEO, so I think that's amazing. So thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you for Steve for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Much appreciated. And audience, last thing, subscribe to the YouTube channel, my channel, somebody else's channel, podcast. Doesn't have to be mine. And here's what I started in 2025. I'm going to keep going in 20. These are gifts. Imagine you're talk or listening to this podcast, and somebody comes in your head like, God, they need to hear Wayne. Send them the podcast link, the YouTube link, whatever it may be, because you get sent to you. And it changes their lives. Maybe it's one word. Maybe he meets or she meets with him. Doesn't matter. Let's give out more gifts in 2026, and a podcast could be one of those. So with that being said, me and Wayne want to thank everyone for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with the Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Nice.